Your stack is just your insurance policy. And I want to explain that because it's a little spicy, it's a hot take, but your stack doesn't exist other than to be the insurance policy of your profitability. So I had a thought, friends, and I want to walk through this with you. And so I've been thinking about the way MSPs talk about their technology stack, because MSPs love talking about their stack. They love evaluating the things that they use in their business to get the job done. We love to change it because we're technologists, and being technologists, it's fun to play with new things. We love to compare what we use versus a friend on a social media channel. We love arguing about which RMM is better than every other RMM. And occasionally buying 3 tools to solve a problem that probably could have been fixed by somebody following a process. And I saw this a lot at my MSP. But I think we may be looking at the stack the wrong way. Because at the end of the day, if we go back in time, your stack is not just the collection of tools that you use to just deliver your service. Your stack is an insurance policy. Now, I don't mean insurance policy in a literal sense, and I think you've probably caught on to that. What I think of it as is, and this is before somebody from an insurance company yells at me, I understand that insurance transfers financial risk, but your stack usually reduces risk, just like an insurance policy protects from it. But for this thought experiment, I want you to consider that your stack is operational insurance against the cost of human unpredictability. You don't know what somebody's going to do. Humans are illogical. It is there to reduce how often something goes wrong. It limits how bad the problem becomes or is. And most importantly for an MSP, it limits how much human labor the problem consumes. And that's the key, right? Because your stack is reducing the risk of your profitability. But that is really what this business model comes down to. And I want to go to the whiteboard for a second because this is where things start to get a little bit more sense, because essentially what we have is a flat fee minus labor equals profit. Pretty simple. We all know that. It's the fixed fee of our stack minus our people cost. And most MSPs sell some version of all you can eat. The customer pays you a flat monthly fee, and you agree to support their people, their computers, their applications, their security, whatever. And you manage to squeeze all of this into essentially a bundle. Your revenue is relatively fixed, but your labor is not, whether it is fixed or at scale. So what we want to go back to the whiteboard and really unpack this insurance policy idea is it's this labor component that always has the potential to get us into a little bit of trouble. And if a customer pays you, let's just do this on the whiteboard. Let's say they pay you $5,000 a month every month and barely needs you, that can be a very profitable customer because you just subtract the hard costs. Let's say it was $250 and then I know I'm making $47.50 in profit if they never called you. Now, if that same customer pays you $5,000 and submits endless tickets, has constant problems and requires repeated escalations, your profit starts to drop. The customer still pays you $5,000. Your team just spends twice as much time earning it. So the biggest threat to the profitability of an all-you-can-eat agreement is, for in all intents and purposes, unexpected labor. It's the whole reason that a lot of people back in the day pushed against all-you-can-eat subscriptions. And the biggest source of unexpected labor is people. It doesn't not mean your employees are bad. And honestly, this doesn't mean that your customers are stupid. Well, not all the time anyway. It means that the human behavior is variable. And at the end of the day, people make mistakes. People forget things. They act erratically. They rush things. They skip steps. And sometimes they just misunderstand the instructions that are put in front of them. How many times have you talked about your timesheets? And a lot of this comes from people just getting busy and having to take shortcuts. People avoid asking questions because they do not want to look dumb. And it's that resilience layer, go check out my talk at MSP GeekCon, that doesn't have a chance to be built unless they will look dumb. And sometimes people just do incredibly dumb things. Let's be real. There are dumb employees. There are dumb users. That includes me. That includes you. That includes all of us. But there is also a catch. Without people, there's no MSP business. And most MSPs, we bill per employee, per user, per computer, or per endpoint. If the customer has no people and no computers, there's not much left to manage. And that's the thing we have to consider with all this AI. Is our per user model going to hit a plateau? Even in the AI area though, think about it. You still need people. AI may change how many people are required. It may change what those people ultimately do, just like the assembly line changed how people were building cars. Someone had to manufacture the machine in the assembly line. That's a new person that replaced the person that probably lost their job, but it makes those people substantially more efficient. But the business still needs somebody trying to accomplish something. So MSPs are economically dependent on people while simultaneously trying to protect themselves from the variability people ultimately create. And that is where the stack comes in. And that's where the stack really became the tool to make all you can eat less scary, right? The insurance policy. And there are really two groups of people the stack is ultimately trying to protect. And I want to go back to the whiteboard, because if we look at the whiteboard, right, at the end of the day, your risk is employees and customers. The first group is your own employees. Let's talk about them, because there's always a stack of tools that you use to do your job. Now, those are particular. Let's just do a P&L reference, right? Those are the ones that you find on your G&A. Think about how much of the MSP stack exists to prevent your technicians from wasting time, setting things up poorly, clicking the wrong button. So if you think about this, your employees, we protect from this from a stack perspective with the PSA, with RMM, documentation tools, SOPs, automation, and some level of QA. The PSA gives them one place to manage the tickets. The RMM gives them a faster way to reach the computer. Documentation keeps them from rediscovering the same answer every single time or bugging you. Hey boss, how do I do this for the 400th time? Stop it! But I'm not gonna do nothing about it. We're all guilty of that. And then you have SOPs, they give them a standard process. And then at the end of the day, when things are overly repetitive in this era of MSP, automation eliminates the repetitive work. And we only find that repetitive work from quality assurance. Some level of looking at the tickets we've had or how we've worked tickets to say, hey, we should figure out a way to never touch these types of tickets again. Managers review the performance and they reinforce those expectations. So think of managers are almost a tool for your people as well in your stack, because dashboards help leadership see what the work is actually happening. And all of these things at the end of the day are guardrails. They exist because two technicians can handle the exact same problem in two completely different ways. I mean, how many of you have found that one ticket where an engineer spent 3 hours on a printer? Could have just bought a new printer. It's not a bad idea. But one technician solves the problem right in 15 minutes, documents what's happened, updates the customer, and moves on. That employee that spends that 3-4 hours fixing the printer, they escalate it, they leave terrible notes, they forget to update the customer, and it creates a second ticket 3 or 4 days later, and the account manager's getting blown up. That's that variable labor that we have to protect from. It's the same issue, but the same customer, but completely different labor cost. And that's ultimately what the stack is supposed to reduce, is that variance. when a good employee does the right thing in an efficient amount of time, and the uninformed employee or bad employee takes way too long, costs way too much money, and pisses our customer off in the first place. It makes the wrong path harder when you have a tool in your stack that puts in those guardrails. Or at least that is what it's supposed to do, unless the person that didn't know set up the guardrails and they set the guardrails up incorrectly, but that's for a later point in the video. But when we think about our customers, our users, you have a whole different set of issues that create variable labor that your employees aren't ultimately responsible for, right? If you think about it, the people who click links, they forget bad passwords, they reuse passwords, they put it on a sticky note with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same one I use on my luggage. They approve MFA requests that they did not initiate, or they respond to fake emails from the CEO. They download things that they probably shouldn't be downloading. They go and buy a Claude code license and just start hammering it on MCPs without understanding the lack of guardrails in the MCP. And they ignore the 12 warnings that then tell you the computer to suddenly stop working for no reason, right? Oh, I didn't need to reboot it after patching. But this does not mean the customers are stupid. They are not technology professionals. That's why they hired you as an MSP in the first place. That is ultimately what we have to protect. So we build a stack for our customers' employees for both the reasons of making sure that they're operating safely, but it also doesn't bleed our variable labor, which costs us a lot of profitability. And what these amount to are things like MFA tools, filtering on their email, endpoints, backups, and you guys get the gist. It's all of those things. So when you all put that together and we have, the email filtering, the endpoint protection, the DNS filtering, the backup, all of these outsourced stack that's included in your bundle, even things like setup, like conditional access, that doesn't maybe cost them money, but it limits their risk to your bottom line. All of these tools are just attempting to reduce that cost of human behavior. The tool either blocks the person from doing something, warns them before they do it, limits the damage after they do it, or makes recovery easier. That is the insurance policy. You don't have to do it. But here's where MSPs fool themselves, and I was guilty of this as well. They assume that installing the tool means that the risk has been addressed. And really, if you think about it, it hasn't. The tool may be installed, the box may be checked, the dashboard may be green, but that does not mean that the employee understands what to do. We have left out the root cause of why you have a stack in the first place. And it does not mean that the customer understands what to do either, by the way. Your employee and the customer have a little bit of confusion. And it definitely does not mean that they are going to do anything consistently. And this goes back to the idea I've been talking about now for a few weeks, where enablement enters the picture. So if we go back to our whiteboard, so if I draw a big circle and we split it in half, if I think about this, on the left side, we have our stack, and on the right side, I have enablement. Pretty self-explanatory. Like, this is the things that we have to protect from to protect our bottom line. And it's the stack only being half of the insurance policy, because the other half being enablement. I can tell you from running a training company for MSPs and end users, not a lot of us adopt it. It seems hard to fix the root cause. And by enablement, by the way, I do not just mean assigning somebody a training video and hoping they watched it. Enablement not only includes training, but it also includes clear expectations. It creates the compliance of the SOPs that firmly state, if you work here, you will do these things. I need you to sign off on it. It gives you context, it gives you examples, it gives you repetition, and sometimes it gives you coaching. If you don't know what to do, ask this person. If these instructions are too hard, go ask that person. And it tells them what you are going to look for during quality assurance. It's going to tell them where to go if you need feedback, but it's also going to tell them what accountability looks like if they don't follow those expectations. And giving people enough time and resources to do actually the thing correctly, right? If we think about this under Stack, we block, automate, detect, and recover. That's the things that we have the ability to operate within this insurance policy. But under enablement, this is where we have to train, explain, coach, and reinforce, which is the important one. Because at the end of the day, without reinforcement, things will be forgotten. And you can see this in any type of behavioral psychology. This goes into in length of every once in a while, you got to remind them. Every once in a while, you have to double check the work on this. It's trust but verify in the best sense. Because for an MSP employee, enablement means that they understand more than where to click inside the PSA. They understand what a good ticket looks like. They understand why documentation matters. They understand what they are allowed to decide on their own. You give them agency. But also, they understand when something needs to be escalated. They understand the results they are trying to produce for their customer. And for your customer's employees, enablement means that they understand more than how to complete the mandatory security training. They understand why MFA exists. They understand why they should not approve a login request they did not create. They understand how to recognize something suspicious. They know what to do when they are uncertain. And they trust that asking for help is better than making the mistake. And for a lot of cases, they know how to use the software that you forced them to use because 365 is best. And now they're not going to think that your team's not going to help them. They have a resource. The Stack creates the guardrail. Enablement teaches the person how to drive. And at the end of the day, you need both. But MSPs tend to obsess over one and underinvest in the other, right? We love buying new tools and not having to deal with people problems because most of us are introverted. But we will spend months evaluating these tools. We will sit through demos. We will build spreadsheets. We will compare features, right? Negotiate the process to death. We'll go on Reddit and post and say, hey, what are you paying for this? We'll migrate the entire company. And then we spend about 20 minutes training the people who are supposed to use it. Sound familiar? And 6 months later, leadership says, why isn't anybody using the new tool correctly? Well, because you bought software. You did not create competence. You cannot software your way out of a people problem. Sometimes software can hide a people problem. Sometimes it can restrict the numbers of ways the person can screw something up, but cannot guarantee understanding. And that is becoming even more important with AI. So if we go back to the whiteboard, and I want to touch on this AI topic because it's important. If I go ahead and think about this, and I go ahead and draw that arrow, and that arrow is really signifying AI, what I want you to think about is it is an amplifier, not a replacement. AI is interesting because it is being sold as both the Stack and the enablement. And AI can automate the work, and it can also explain the work. It can answer questions. It can guide a technician. It can summarize information, draft the customer response, create the documentation. But in theory, AI is both the tool and the teacher. But that only works when the person using the AI has enough knowledge to judge the output. If they do not, AI can become an extremely efficient way to produce the wrong answer. So a technician who does not understand the goal can now miss the goal faster. And a manager who has not defined the expected results can produce a very professional looking document that accomplishes nothing. Many of us receive that email of way too many words and we gloss over and then just DM the person for the answer. A customer can generate something that sounds confident, complete, and entirely correct, by the way, but AI does not eliminate the ambiguity. It allows you to move through ambiguity much faster, and moving quickly in the wrong direction is not efficiently. That is just getting lost at a higher speed. And you can see this, by the way, with vibe coding. Somebody starts with a loose idea, they ask the AI to build something, then they start iterating, move this, change that, add a button, create another workflow, fix this error. But before long, they have built an entire pile of code without ever clearly defining who the application is for, what it needs to accomplish, what good looks like, or what risk it creates. The AI may be working perfectly, the person just never gave it a destination. And that same issue will happen inside MSPs. If you have not defined your standards, AI will make assumptions for you. If you have not trained your employees, then they may not recognize when those assumptions are wrong. If you have not given the business a clear goal, the AI will happily help everyone create more activity with less direction. So ultimately, at the end of the day, AI is an amplifier. It creates clarity when clarity exists. It also amplifies confusion. And this is why I believe every MSP stack review should include an enablement review. And I want you to ask yourself 5 questions ultimately when you're looking at this review and you're looking at the stack to, is it necessary or is there a foundational thing that we need to protect from? And those questions simply are, and you can see them below or to the side, however you're watching this. What human behavior is this tool protecting us from? What behavior does the tool require from our employees or customers? Have we actually trained that behavior? How do we know the behavior is happening? And what happens when the person steps outside the guardrails? Take, for example, your PSA. The PSA texts from the business from lost requests, missing communication, and inconsistent service. But the PSA also requires technicians to enter good notes, categorize the work correctly, follow the process, and communicate. Buying that PSA only handles part of that. The rest requires training, coaching, QA, accountability. Same with MFA. MFA helps protect the customer when a password is stolen. But the customer still needs to understand that they should not approve a login request they did not initiate. Email filtering, the tool reduces the number of malicious messages reaching the inbox, but the user still needs to know what to do when a good one gets through. And that is the distinction. The tool gives you the capability, enablement gives you the behavior. So when I say that most MSPs may only be 50% insured, I don't mean that as a literal calculation. I mean it as a challenge. MSPs have invested heavily in the stack, but many have barely invested in the human ability required to use that stack well. They have built the guardrails. They have not taught anyone how to drive. When something goes wrong, they solve the problem the only way they know how. They buy another tool. And the takeaway is not that the people are the problem. The takeaway is that human behavior is a variable, and an all-you-can-eat business model is extremely sensitive to that variability. The stack reduces the cost of unpredictability. Enablement reduces the unpredictability itself. And AI can strengthen both, but AI does not replace either one. So next time you review your stack, do not only ask whether you have the right tools, ask whether your people understand how to use them, especially when it comes to tool change. Why would I change the tools if I never gave the current one an honest effort? And ask whether your customers understand the behavior these tools are trying to create. There's so many things we can ask ourselves because your stack might be an insurance policy, but if you ignore enablement, you are only paying for half the coverage. So I know that was a lot, but that was my train of thought. With all that being said, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Stay accountable.